imagine one being a fat guy and he's a fat werewolf.
Just like he's super broad, like super big, and
yeah, he's got like a big belly, and maybe they're like European or something. So each of them is like a hyper rich. It's like, I'm an oil baron, and then he just, he's, and I'm also a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to StoryFellas, the podcast where we make stories and we break stories. I'm your host, Tommy Antonucci.
And I'm your host, Zach Lovelace.
Happy summer, y'all.
Happy summer.
If we've counted this out properly, it's summer when you're listening to this and you're out there, you're having a good time, you're touching grass. I think that's what people say. Yeah. Is that the thing?
They say that. They say a lot of other things like that, soaking up the sun.
Yeah. So maybe you're on a run. Maybe you're out sitting, having a picnic.
Oh,
your earphones are in listening to this. Your significant other is screaming, like, why are you listening to headphones? We're on a date.
And you just turn up StoryFellas even louder.
Crank that up and say, I can't
boy.
hear you.
You go for a walk, you get lost. That's fine. Are you lost in the woods right now? And you wish you could communicate with us that you're lost and you need the state park officials to come find you. Don't worry. You're going to hear a good story.
You're going to hear a good story. I do like the idea of someone who's lost, like utterly lost, but they're like, I might as well just listen to a fun podcast and
finish it. I mean,
I got to finish this.
I was listening to a true crime podcast about somebody getting lost and then they get lost.
It's whatever they listen to, like, ends up happening to them. Zach, I've got a story idea for us and
cool.
I'm excited for it. I was writing it down actually in the board to do a random roll, but then I kept fleshing it out and I was like, oh, this could just be a thing. And I don't want to wait to roll it. I kind of just want to explore this idea.
Let's do it. A scrap.
Yeah, it's kind of a scrap. I actually is roughly based on an early idea. I think I might have told you a long time ago, but it's kind of taken a bit more shape.
Cut back to me, you telling me, and I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah, flashback. You're like, that is the worst idea I've ever heard, but I'm going to do it in front of an audience now. So
yeah. You who's lost in the woods and can do nothing else.
Yeah, you have to listen to this dumb idea. I actually don't think it's a dumb idea, but you might glean parts of this as being like that old idea.
Yeah.
But the gist of this story, if it has a log line, I don't have it in front of me because I didn't think that far ahead. But actually, maybe I do. Let me pull up the thing. I wrote it down.
You man lost in the woods listening to this. You will be rescued by screaming at this podcast because you hate this episode so much. So you know what? You're welcome.
You're welcome. We're saving you. This is for you, Clark. Clark in the woods.
Oh, my name's Clark. I got lost in the woods. Oh, where's my mommy? Shut up. You're going to be a skeleton soon.
It would be funny if a guy was lost in the woods and his name was Clark. He's like, how do they know so much?
I'm a skeleton now.
I'm a skeleton now. I'm Fluke.
I'm Fluke now. Call back to the last episode, folks. You got to be part of the StoryFellas continuity here. Okay.
You got to go. We're like the new Marvel. You got to listen to all of them.
Running gags. Nothing but running gags.
All right. So here's the rough pitch. When some cat burglars discover the home they broke into belongs to a werewolf that has locked them all inside, will they be able to survive the night?
Ooh, I love that. Yes, I remember this because there was some sort of horror contest. I don't know if you remember this aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, would you guys want to do this with our previous work bros? And that was the idea that got really close, and for whatever reason, we didn't do it. It might have been, one of us got busy and just couldn't do it. But we had circled that idea because the idea of a silver doorknob.
Yeah, I think I might have pitched that idea because I think we had to do something where I think it had to involve a oneer, or maybe we just wanted to do it as just oneer. But anyway, I had this idea, and the old idea was just one guy. But I feel like that's a bit limiting to only have one guy. That's
you gotta have somebody to kill.
I think we have a couple of cat burglars, and the idea is they break into this place, and they're like, "This place is weird. There's like a lot of like security like aimed inward, like to prevent things, and like all the doorknobs. They're like, these doorknobs are really nice, and they're like trying to like take off these silver doorknobs, and then come to find out the owner comes home right as he's turning into a werewolf, and the whole house is designed that once he like locks his security system, it keeps him in, and then they're like locked, stuck in this house.
That's cool.
Which I think there's a movie,
the Vampire
Don't Breathe.
Okay, yes. So there's Don't Breathe, where that's based on a true story, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah, which is weird, and they clearly it's based on it. It's not at all faithful to the real story. But yeah, this guy kills these intruders that come into his house. But in Don't Breathe, he's blind, and so they're trying to hold their breath. Excuse me, man. Don't burp. I got a little bit of the old fashioned burps, okay, folks. This is an old fashioned here, and I get a little burpy.
But yeah, like don't breathe the whole. Just if you're not, it's a horror movie, but they break in because they're like, oh, he's a blind guy, we can steal from him, and then turns out he's like super tough and kills one of them, and then reboards up his house. So like they're stuck in there, but then like he can't see them. Yeah, he can just hear them. But I feel like something like that, but like a big mansion, like a lot of space to explore, and then like a crew of like maybe 4 or 5 people. That's cool. And like a giant werewolf that is roaming, and they can't get out of the house. I think that's super cool.
I was gonna say there's a vampire movie coming out. I can't remember what it's called because it's the name of the little girl, I think. But the whole idea is that these people get duped basically into coming to be a part of this. I think they think they're going to be part of a heist. So they go into this mansion and they think they're going to, kidnap this little girl, when in reality, everything closes up and she's actually a vampire. And it's her one day a year that she gets to feed.
Oh, then maybe this story's been told already in a sense.
Maybe. Well, I think that's actually, you just started that base and then we just add layers of differentiation and we're good to go.
You were talking beforehand of a line that we could include that might turn this into a comedy rather than a horror.
That's true. That is a layer of differentiation. The line, I don't even know. Another one of these callback jokes that my friends and I have is time to go full hero. It's just something that like some dude who's about to get his butt kicked but doesn't know it says to try and intimidate someone else. Like, don't make me go full hero. And then the guy just gets totally demolished. That's how it exists in my friend group, but we can put it in the mouth of this werewolf or someone.
No, I think someone's got to like fight the werewolf. He's like, time to go full hero. And he like jumps and tries to fight the werewolf and immediately dies.
Just gets cut in half. I think it would be funny if that guy actually was able to fight the werewolf if he had something slightly silver or some small silver thing that gave him an advantage, but it's something really goofy. So I imagined like a pair of old lady glasses with the strap, and the strap was silver, like a little silver chain or whatever. And he just has to wear those to fight the werewolf. And it just evens the playing field. Something that goofy, right?
Yeah. Something goofy like that. My brain goes to like, if someone in a past heist found like silver brass knuckles. Like that's cool. kind of neat. That's a little like, what are the odds of having silver brass knuckles to fight a werewolf?
That's true. Like silver in a werewolf movie has to be really rare, and you have to earn it because otherwise it just saves you.
Although I do think if we establish this story where we have Mr. Werewolf has silver doorknobs, I don't think it's too far fetched to think he would have silver weaponry, like to help. Maybe he wouldn't do silver bullets because he doesn't want to die, but maybe he would have like silver brass knuckles like hidden away in a box or something.
Yeah, there's like on the wall and it's like break in case of emergency. And you just
because I like the idea of like towards the end, like maybe like 3/4 in, like one of the bigger dudes, because I want they're cat burglars, so it's like they're breaking into this dude's house, but I want them to be endearing to some degree. Yeah, and we can experiment like their backstory of why they're doing it. But it's like some like kind of big dude, like he's like, I don't know, 6'3", but the werewolf's 7 feet tall or 8 feet tall. But he's just like punching this werewolf with these brass knuckles across the room. I think that'd be pretty cool.
That would be so satisfying to just kill a werewolf. Just thinking about that, like, oh man, I prefer my werewolves to be bipedal. So standing on 2 feet, not on the ground.
That's what I picture. Not like Twilight. Not
like
Twilight.
Not like Twilight. No,
it's just big wolves. I also like my werewolves big and like large. Oh yeah, like
Have you ever seen Dog Soldiers? Dog Soldiers is a really good example of that, where they're huge bipedal running around. And then The Howling does that as well. And The Howling is really good.
Zach has seen his werewolf movies.
Oh, yeah. Well, and this is interesting. Werewolf movies, well, The Incredible Hulk has the same problem as werewolf movies. So I've often thought about that. Like, how would you actually adapt it? Because the transformation is a loss for that character if they're the main character. If they're just fighting it, that's fine. That's easy. It's akin to genies in terms of the rules are very simple. And then you just try and find your way around them.
Usually werewolves are obstacles, unless you make them intelligent or something. But like werewolves are, because that's like why it's hard to have an Incredible Hulk movie. It's hard to have a werewolf protagonist movie because the exciting thing happens when the protagonist loses, like when they fail against the werewolf. That's what you want to see, but then you're like, oh, they lost the battle. But so it's kind of like a weird paradox when it comes to writing.
Exactly, and you don't want your character to lose. It's okay to make them lose, but hopefully the idea would be to triumph over the curse or whatever, and for them the audience is there to see the werewolf, not the person just be like, oh,
yeah,
I really don't want to transform right now.
It's a really bad time for me.
But I think if we add again layers of complexity to it, we could push this into some interesting territory where we just have a contained thriller with a werewolf. So it doesn't have to be in a mansion. I think even the cat burglar thing, you got the cat and the dog. Ooh, you take that out of it. It could be for some other reason. Like I was thinking a lot of videos that get suggested to me on Instagram are urban explorers. So people who go and they find abandoned tunnels and stuff, like way deep in certain cities, and they find whole facilities that like the lights are on, but they're like miles long. A lot of them are in Europe, but we could do something to that effect. And one of them happens to be just a place where a group of werewolves meet every full moon and they just lock themselves in. It's like, oh, you really were not supposed to find this.
Yeah, you really shouldn't have been.
That way they're not bad people either. They're just explorers. I guess they're trespassers. So there's that kind of, there can be rebels and punks in some capacity, vandals, but not no crime worth death. That's for sure. So that seems like a cool environment. Do you want to go more comedy? Do you want to say serious? I'm actually kind of down to stay a little serious. Unless you want to go full. I'm going to
say serious unless we come across something that's naturally funny. I didn't think it would be if they were breaking into a place, if you did have a guy in his backpack carried like garlic and a steak and he's just like, this place is creepy. It could be filled with vampires. And it turns out there's a werewolf and it's like, shoot, wrong monster. And he has all this vampire weaponry.
That's pretty, that's actually funny. Yeah.
That's funny. But I like the underground, like these urban explorers. I kind of like this beat where they stumble across like some people. Like they get there like just minutes before transformation time.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, there's some like other people down there and they're kind of watching. There's like, they seem kind of friendly. And then they like go and then the people are panicked and they're like, you can't be here. Maybe there's like 3 of them or something.
That's 4. Cool. Yeah.
And then they're like, what was it? We don't mean to interrupt. We're just here to hang out and we wanted to catch up and see what this place was. And then they start like transforming at that point. Let's decide on, let's make some protagonists here. I feel like 4 or 5 is good. If 5 helps with if some of them are going to die along the way.
Yeah, but we can clump 2 of them together to be kind of a unit. So, like twins, where it's like, okay, we have these twins, but they're effectively the same kind of, so a group of friends for sure. Yeah. I think college aged, kids who are kind of going nowhere in life, but are leaning into the, I'm an influencer. I'm willing to do crazy things for attention online. I think that's an interesting theme. And so they're willing to go places and even get arrested. And maybe we set it up that way where we see them get chased by the cops or whatever. And they get away their little pod of folks.
And then maybe they find this tunnel somewhere. Like that's what they do. Yeah. They do like, they have like a channel where they go and explore and kind of trespass on these places. And
I think maybe they get like a DM from somebody that's like, oh, you should check out, Candelabra Mines or whatever it's called. I don't know why Candelabra was the word that popped in my head, but some sort of location that is off the beaten path. It's like, oh yeah, you got to go a few miles out of town, and there's used to be an old power plant out there, and it doesn't work anymore, obviously, or some sort of like dam or some big industrial type space.
Yeah, I think something that wherever the space is, like there's no signal there, like it's so out in the sticks or it's underground.
Oh, even if there is, I'm okay if there is. Like they're just being live streaming it the whole time. You know, I think that's fine. Okay. Nobody really knows where they're at, so it doesn't really matter. Like, I guess you could call somebody and they could try and triangulate your location or whatever, but can they get in there? Do they know? You know, it's not easy to just jump up. It's not like a house. They show up at an address and it's like, oh, here, it's just this whole facility that is abandoned. So
yeah, like it might take, like, even if they had a call, like if this whole story took place like in an hour or something. Like,
and even if there's a section of the underground layer that the werewolves themselves have like funded and built out secretly, then they definitely wouldn't be able to find them.
That's true. That's true. If they got chased into that secret area.
Yeah. So I think playing with it makes it very modern, that the urban explorer / live streamer. That's kind of an interesting thing. You could cut to that angle a whole bunch. I think that'd be kind of cool. You could have, somebody talking to them online, like giving them instructions, like, yo, bro, that looks like a werewolf. And you know, it just helps them out. Like,
it's like, no, really, it looks like a werewolf.
Yeah. Or maybe something's written in a different language or whatever, and somebody online's like, can you tell me like what this is? It just gives them some form of, you know, they could get answers to things, deeper lore things that there's a mechanic built in that I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I like the idea if they had a follow. Maybe they do this, but they don't have that big of a following. Like they're not that popular, but they do have like a little niche following, and they have these people who are like, this is what you got to do. If you want to fight the werewolf, like you got to do this. Like old, like they're like super deep in the lore, and like on the forums, they are like giving them.
Now, here's an idea. I love that, because I think, you know, okay, we have our 12 people that are watching. Okay. And then one of our main characters is a girl. Okay. And there's always a creepy guy on there that's like, hey, oh, he's so hot, you know. But I don't know what he would say that would necessarily be creepy, but just like, oh, can I see some more of Amanda? And, you know, oh, I really want to hear Amanda talk about this. And he's the one guy that they know will always get on. Okay. So they're waiting, like there's nobody on there. There's like the eye with the slash through it. It's like, there's nobody watching. Where's you know, whatever his username is.
I like
that's kind of cool.
I think that is cool. Let me know if you like this, because like I don't know, we'll call that guy I don't know. It's either a weird handle or it's just like Darren or something like that. Like, yeah.
I think a weird handle is probably the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, like it's like Demon Slayer 139 or something like that. And yeah, I like the idea of him early on. Like he's like the man, he's their man in the chair, and there's some others, but he's like the main one. And when he realizes like he's like that they're in real danger, he's like, Amanda, and he like gets on like his like little moped, and like he like is like riding 20 miles an hour to this place. Like I like the idea of him.
They actually know him.
Well, no, like he's never met them in real life, but like when he is kind of in love with Amanda, the girl, and when he sees that she's in danger, and he knows where they are because they are like live streaming, he's like the only one watching. Like he goes to save her, because I like the idea, like in the 11th hour, like him showing up and like doing something crazy to like help them get out of the jail.
I like that too. The only thing I find somewhat unbelievable is that he is like near them. I guess like,
yeah. You know, I just pictured like he's in their town. Like if they only have 12 followers, it might just be like word of mouth.
What it is, because if we're pushing comedy here a little bit, that you could at the end have it be like, oh, he's actually like a high-ranking general. And so it doesn't matter. Like he just shows up and he's like, I'm here for Amanda. And he's like super hot.
I actually really like that. Like he's like super, like he's like 6'5". Maybe he's the guy who uses the silver brass knuckles.
Yeah.
These werewolves with his bare hands. It's like, I gotta take my shirt off. It's gonna get in the way.
Yeah, he's always saying things like that, and it's like that's so cringe because they think he's just like role playing online.
Yeah.
I do think that you tease a lot in the beginning with the Demon Slayer 139 or what was it 134?
Yeah. I think I said 139. Good memory.
Okay, cool. Demon Slayer 139, and he's being creepy or what is perceived to be creepy or whatever, and the main character, let's call him Darren. So we have Darren and Amanda.
And Darren and Amanda are the main,
and maybe they're brother and sister. I think that works.
Yeah, I like something to not make them have a a platonic relationship with them.
Yeah. I think that's the way to go, is make them brother and sister. You can give them a little bit of a sad backstory kind of thing. Like they're in foster care, or they were in foster care, and now they're roommates. But the whole thing is he tells her, she keeps shooting Demon Slayer 139 down, and it's like, no, I don't want to talk to him. And she'll like get on the FaceTime and is like, no, like leave us alone. I don't care that we have 11 followers. I'm willing to decimate our audience by 10% to have you like not whatever. And then he's like, no, he drives up engagement. Like you can't tell him to go away. He drives up our engagement. It helps the algorithm, whatever. Like there's a counter argument for that. Yeah. And it just is an interesting little.
It's like that whole dynamic of reading the text. It sounds creepy, but like he's like the noble like general guy is just like, he's like, I would die for you, Amanda.
Yes,
and like she's reading it like, I would die for Amanda. Like,
yes.
It's just that kind of thing. And then at the end, she's like, oh. It would be really funny if he dies. He does die. Like Demon.
Yeah, he does. He shows up. Yeah, I think that's really funny. Like that's the like penultimate thing where
he literally does die for her, like to save her.
I love that.
I like that a lot too. He's like,
and then now she's sad because she's like, oh, the perfect guy.
Yeah, she's like, who are you? He's like, you might know me as Demon Slayer 139. And then he like starts punching some werewolves. He like has silver bullet guns and stuff.
Yeah, I think that'd be so cool. He kills one. And
he's basically a modern Van Helsing.
Okay, well, yeah, him being like a vampire hunter or like a monster hunter, I think is a little. But I think him being a general or whatever. I say a general because then he would have, the Air Force come in and bomb the place or whatever, but he could be a special forces guy. Like that's his thing. And he's like, yeah, I'm actually a part of the special forces. And they're just like, no, you're not. Like what a poser.
I like that. I like that.
So there's some solid characters and some good setup and payoff.
Yeah. Do we say that they're brothers, Darren and Amanda are brother and sister? Yeah. Or okay, cool.
Yeah. Like
and then we got like, I don't know, like another,
we have a romantic couple, I think. Like another guy and girl, but they're a unit.
Yeah, they're like, okay. And then we have just one random person that's clearly going to die first because they're like they're like sour about things and stuff.
That guy could be more of the tech guy. He could be more of the, he's carrying a bunch of the whatever supplies kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the mule. Maybe they call him Mule.
So mean.
Well, he's like, I don't mind.
I'm the tech guy.
Yeah. My mom always said I had great calves.
We are kind of in funny, like we action are comedy. Yeah, that's fine. Well, I like it. So they go. Maybe they were going somewhere else. It starts, and we kind of get the back. We get the backstory of, and it could even start like where they like film. It's like them filming some other abandoned place. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, guys, hey, we're doing this. And it seems suspenseful. And then you see it's a
hey, you. Yeah. Stop. And then you see the police and they run like, get out of here, guys. Huh? And you get a little bit of their personalities. You get that Amanda's a little bit of the commander. Yeah. You get that Darren is maybe really risky, wild child kind of thing. Like, hey, guys, check this out. And he's like walking across a big girder and he's like parkour kind of guy. But maybe he falls. He gets a little hurt. Actually, that was kind of cool. He falls, he breaks his arm, and then the next time you see him, he has like a cast, but he's still like, functional.
I like the idea that we see this little montage of them, and then we like it's like all in the style of their video, and it's like it's even like shot like there's like freeze frames like it would be like a video, like a movie or something. They're like tech, and then we zoom out and we're like seeing the YouTube video, and like they're like,
and it's like,
and then they're like in their living room. They're like, guys, we're like up to 8 plays on this.
Yeah,
and then
four of them are Mule.
Yeah, 4 of them are Mule, and the rest are Demon Slayer 139. And it's like Amanda, he's commenting some more. Like you can establish, there's a lot of exposition
I
in
love
that
it,
scene.
Dude. Oh man, this is good.
Yeah, and this is good. She's like, I don't want to talk to him because I imagine them being like high school, college-y kids. So like they're in they're at their parents' house, kind of visiting, and then you see them casual, you see their dynamic, and then they have this like next. They're like, but this next one is going to be our viral one because like this is like an underground something or other, and
you have Darren, and Darren's like, I thought me breaking my arm would, make me go viral or whatever. He did not that he did it on purpose, but he's just like, I thought that would work. So they're like, oh, we got to do more live streams. Again, we got to push engagement. We can't push away our trolls. Amanda's trying to type out a response to Demon Slayer, and it's just, he's
like, say something positive. Say something positive to him. Like, encourage him.
Yeah. Well, I think actually negative engagement would be, maybe that's her counter argument, is like negative engagement is what actually drives interest.
Yeah.
That's all great dialogue because it's giving you exposition, but it's not, and it's even giving you a little bit of, what is it? Like you're just fleshing out the world and you're giving people technical information, but it's within the character speaking. She's clearly uncomfortable with this.
Yeah.
And then her brother's kind of pushing her to be that way. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Anyway,
I do like in the future when they realize they're in trouble, we see like just like a dark room with like a screen of a laptop, and it's like they're like, someone help us, please, and it's like the laptop gets shoved down and you hear footsteps run, and it just like is logged in as Demon Slayer 139. So you get that kind of foreshadowing.
Oh, that, yeah.
That whoever this dude is like coming, but you don't know anything about.
That's cool.
About him.
And we get set up early on that he's like, oh, I noticed that you guys are in Pennsylvania. I'm actually only a few hours away from there, and it's like, that's a creepy thing that this guy says, but it's also planting the setup for later on that he's going to be not that far away.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm in the special forces. I know how to climb. I know how to spelunk. Obviously they just kind of dunk on him or whatever. I love that. That is all hyper good setups, and then we have some great payoffs for the characters. So we had one more. So Mule is our fifth wheel,
and then we have a couple. We need to call. Are they like really clingy, like lovey-dovey couple? Are they like just like a normal couple? Is there like, do we want to give them some quirk or something?
We do need to give them a quirk. Mule is definitely like the, hey, I know I'm kind of the bottom guy. I like gas station food. My name is Mule. Like, I get it.
I think the girl in the couple should be a bit more like, not like dumb, but more that ditzy kind of like girly girl. Because in contrast with Amanda, who's like more like commando, like tough
commando.
As nails can. Commanda. I'm Commanda.
Yeah.
Cobra Commanda.
Yeah, that's her call sign, Cobra Commanda.
But yeah, someone who's a bit more girly, because I think that would be a fun dynamic of her just flirt with Demon Slayer a little bit. Like, just,
that's true.
If it was me, I would. She's like, you type it. It's like, no, it's gotta be from you. It's gotta be real.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I think you want them to be more like influencer type, because they can't be competing with them, but they're just part of their friend group. So I guess, I don't know. I'm trying to give them something really. I think the boy side of it, I have an easier time with than like another girl. I think that's good contrast to Amanda. The boy side of it, I think, should be like a string bean guy, super tall, and just kind of like a pothead.
Just like a stoner,
just unmotivated, and you don't really understand why they're together. Not that it's like, oh man, I have no idea why they'd be together, but it's just, he's not bringing anything to the table. I don't know. I think that's, in terms of like, Mule has a technical skill, with the gear that he's carrying and stuff. Like, what does this guy bring to the table? And it's like, I'm just here because it's cool. Like,
I feel like, I'm maybe not even stoner, just kind of like thick. Like, he's just,
are they the idiots? These two idiots?
Well, I don't think she's an idiot. I think she's just kind of like
more
I don't know.
relational.
She does have the influencer vibe, and she's like, guys, it would be funny if she has like so many Instagram followers, but she's in this group and she's like, guys, I'm telling you, this is how we gotta get the likes. We gotta use more filters. We gotta do this and that. And some reason she's just like really interested in doing this exploring stuff. And then the other guy, I don't want to make him blatantly dumb. I feel like sometimes that
another interest. So like obviously they are all urban explorers, but maybe she's more of the animal one. And I think would be helpful.
Okay, that could be
in
cool.
the group to be like, oh look, like, you know, and they can be the plant animal people, like the two of them. So they're vegan. I think we dunked on vegans a couple episodes ago. So get ready. Here we go.
I feel like they could be they could just be more outdoor, like maybe that's the slight shift, because I feel like they all have to be somewhat similar. They have this weird specific interest.
Yeah.
So like if Darren is like
Darren, this
parkour,
is like
he's the this is a risky guy.
Yeah, he's daring, he's Darren, and then Amanda is commanding. Again, it's some weird deep-seated word thing happening with these character names, which I think is funny.
Yeah.
It's like true to their nature that their name is true to, you know, so if that's true with these other two guys, so we have Mule, again, true to his nature. It's obviously a nickname, so it's not like a big deal. But
I feel like these other people being more the outdoorsy types, like where Darren and Amanda are not necessarily wired to be outdoorsy, they're wired to be adventurous. But then these outdoorsy types kind of flesh out, like they're similar, but in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Like I feel like if he's like the guy is like maybe like that kind of stoner vibe, but like hippie, like he's good in the woods, like he knows like how to do trails and tracking and stuff like that.
He's like, I'm an Eagle Scout.
Yeah. He's like, Eagle Scout 3 years, man.
I think his name is Red and her name is Bianca.
Red and Bianca.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is she similar? Is she outdoorsy or is she influencery?
No, she's outdoorsy. I think she just really likes animals. So she can, you know, I work in an animal hospital, you know, and that's just their friend group is all very outdoors oriented, and they tag along. They're the tag alongs to the urban exploration thing, where it's like, we're just in it for a good time. Obviously, like we'll see some cool stuff, maybe see some cool animals. Mule's in it because he's just happy to be around people.
Yeah, and he likes filming the stuff. He's like the tech guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's the camera guy, or one of the camera guys. They all wear, you know, little whatever headsets or whatever. Dude, so okay, we got our team.
I did not honestly think we were going to give all of them names. Like 5 people is like a lot of people to flesh out, but I like how these guys
they have
are
very
out.
Distinct personalities, and I think that definitely helps. You know, you identify them, and so by having a name, boom, it's not that hard.
What's their team name? What's their channel name?
Probably the title of the movie, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not super familiar with the urban exploration space. I'm sure a lot of it is just.
I'm getting like Scooby-Doo vibes from them. Like
they definitely have a Scooby-Doo. I mean, you could throw a dog in the mix if you wanted to.
I don't know, maybe they find a dog. They find a dog there or something.
Yeah.
I don't want them to have a dog because that does feel like we're trying to do a Scooby-Doo thing.
I think Darren definitely carries a gun. Just to be clear. Yeah. I think Darren carries a gun that's just like in his nature. Plus, that's also just you're outdoors, like you're in some weird, you know, you're getting stopped by people who might have bad motives or whatever. You want some way to get out of it. Like I want to meet them with whatever force that they're meeting me with. And maybe that makes Amanda uncomfortable, but I don't think it can make anyone uncomfortable. Actually,
here's the thing: I think it makes sense that Darren would have a gun, but I think Amanda is the best fighter. Like scrapper of them.
Sure.
For some reason that seems cool to me. Like maybe she's like, I grew up in an army family and I had 5 older brothers and I had to learn.
Her brother is Darren.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot their.
But that's fine. Like I think that she can, you know, Darren is always stronger than me, so I am like a black belt in jujitsu or whatever, and so she just does that at a local dojo. Or Krav Maga or whatever, and they can give her a hard time about whatever one she chose. But yeah, I think that's fine. So it's grappling. I don't know if that's really going to help you
against a werewolf.
Against a werewolf.
I just and we don't have to get hyper specific, but I just picture her being Scrappy doing like a 2-footed kick, like just like a full on like into the head of like a werewolf to distract it.
I think her having big Sarah Connor vibes. I think Sarah Connor in T2 is really the high watermark in terms of like female action. That very competent, high competence with guns, whatever it might be, but just tough too. She's just tough. So she gets cut up, beat up, stabbed, whatever, but she's still pushing. I think I could see her being way up high. And down below, one of the werewolves is encroaching on Mule, and she like drops a cinder block on its head, or has to like leverage something to drop something really heavy on it. And she's able to do that. And I think, it might actually like hurt her to do it too.
Yeah. I do like that they go into this adventure with Darren having a broken arm too, because it makes her have to be like more of the leader, because he can't necessarily like maybe he has the gun, but the gun's only so effective against a werewolf.
Yeah, I think the broken arm thing is a good setup as well. That it's just that natural limitation that in the opening sequence, we're just learning about these characters. Oh, he's got a broken arm, whatever. But then you put him in a situation where he needs to use his strength and he can't. Also, him just getting bit in the cast, I think, is the way to go. Like setting up, he holds it up defensively.
And they don't, it holds back the teeth a little bit. I think that's pretty cool, actually. Man, I like this. I like this team. I don't really want to kill off any of them.
Oh, dude, we're gonna kill them off. Don't worry. Bianca, Red, and I think Darren are probably the ones that are going to have to die.
Bianca, Red, and Darren. Oh, and Mule and Amanda make it out, you think?
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Okay. I could feel.
Or Mule sacrifices himself.
No, I want to like
killing a loser is always devastation. That is my word, man. It's ooh.
Yeah, I feel like
Piggy from Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, it is. It is, but I want more than one to make it out, and it feels like
for sure.
It feels like Darren and Amanda feels like too obvious because they're brother and sister. They feel like the main protagonists.
Well, what would have to happen is that they make it out, but he's going to turn into a werewolf.
Oh,
that would have to be what it is.
All right, well, let's explore it a little bit. Yeah. Let's see. I do agree that the two outdoorsy people could probably get caught up in the stuff or have to sacrifice themselves. So they go. We get all this backstory of them. They're like, we're gonna go check out this place. They go, they find some tunnels. Maybe they get chased by the cops, and they have to kind of take a detour from where they're originally going, and that leads them into this like weird factory underground thing that's like not part of the main thing. Like they're kind of in this offshoot of it, and they find these. They're like, there's some people down there, and like. Mule's like videoing and like zooming on these people like hanging out around like a dumpster fire. And it's like, are they homeless or something? And then
I like the idea that it's a facility. Like it has like fluorescent lights and everything that they bust through a wall or whatever. And it's like, oh, like something closes up behind them and they can't go back that way, obviously. Yeah. But then there's like a clean, sterile area and it's like a spa down there. I don't know. I guess that's not really what you would imagine when you think of somebody locking themselves in.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think there's this facility you can just walk into. Like the doors were unlocked when they walk in.
Yeah.
And they find these people and like they like initiate like the lock, like the people who are there lock the thing. Like they like these like siren, like the sirens go off like, and then like the doors like bolt and shut, and like there's like silver coated, and then they're like, hey guys, we accidentally got in here, and they're like, you can't be in here. And they're like, oh yeah, like we just accidentally like we'll leave if you open the doors, and they're like, we can't open the doors until morning, and then they're like, whoa. And I don't know. I don't know if we want them to meet the people beforehand. I like that idea.
I like that too.
Giving them like a 5-minute warning.
For sure.
Like you don't understand. Like
a 5-minute head start.
He's like, He's like, you guys have 5 minutes. You guys need to hide. And
they maybe tell them about Silver tips. Either because they don't want to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they would just say like, hey, you go with God. we tried hard not to let this happen. I think that's cool too, because the werewolves are good people for the most part. They obviously want to remove themselves from, and we can even give them really identifiable things that set them apart. Like one of them might be a police officer. And so he's wearing his uniform, and I think they would have to get naked too. They don't want to just like rip through their clothes.
I was going to say that they're like dressed really nice, but then I was like, they wouldn't want to rip through their clothes.
Maybe they're wearing robes.
No,
that way it looks like
that would be kind of funny.
Is this a cult thing? And they're like, no, not at all.
I like the idea of like spa robes. Like they're like in white, like comfy robes, and they're like, is this a spa? Like maybe it looks kind of like a spa. Like maybe everything's like nice and like.
Well, there's all the tile and stuff, and maybe it was back in the day, or at least it's some sort of big.
Okay, hear me out. These are not random run-of-the-mill werewolves. These are like rich werewolves that like lay claim to this place because one, like how else would they have access to this space?
Yeah.
And I just like, it's like 4 of them. That's and they're very posh, and they're just like, hey, we paid for this place to do our due diligence, but you guys shouldn't have come in here. And we pay to have the walls cleaned and the stuff reassembled. Is like, we will make sure. I don't know, like that idea of them like hiring people. It's like, we're gonna have to call. Maybe that's really ominous too. If like I don't want to paint them too much like bad guys, but like if they made a call and they're like, hey, something got in the morning, we're gonna need a cleanup crew.
That's scary. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Like, because they're these rich people and they're basically paying like criminal cleanup people. Well, and
even cleanup crew, it means a lot of things. It doesn't just mean physically mopping someone up. It means, so the idea that they might survive out of the frying pan into the fire, you just fight humans at the end that show up. And they're like, oh, well, I'm the bodyguard. I'm not going to let this get out.
That's true. Because they probably wouldn't want that known. They're like, hey, you're either going to...
Yeah.
Like, even if you figure out a way to survive the night, you've seen us and you know what we are, and we can't have that. So sorry about your luck, but hey, you've got 5 minutes that you can, I don't know, try to stay around a little longer if you want to.
Yeah.
But you've got 5 minutes, so you should get going. And like, maybe they only half believe them. They're like, what are you talking about? This is weird. I don't know. I don't know if they would believe them when they
starts to transform.
Slowly,
I think it does. Is it an open air thing? So can the moonlight get in at all? Is it moonlight driven, or is it just like, we know it's a full moon, it doesn't really matter?
Okay. Well, how about this? If there are like panels, man, that's even. I don't know if I like this. You gotta let me know if you like this. Yeah. There is like a control panel like that opens like some like bulletproof windows up above. Like it's like sealed off, and then it opens up, and they're like, we have to transform. Like if we don't transform, it's like there's a lot of pent up energy, and it's not good for us, and something could happen in the real world.
Well, then you might transform sometime later.
Yeah. Like we have to get it out of our system. So it has to happen tonight. And like but like opening the windows like will like initiate the thing. So it's like the windows open in 2 minutes.
I imagine a big smokestack thing, and then just moonlight comes down through there. It doesn't even need to be, and that's where they're at initially. They just get transformed, and then boom, we're good to go.
Yeah,
they get hit with it once, and they're good. So yeah, they have it totally mapped out or whatever. Super rich. I think is the way to go as well. Kind of puts a damper on our Demon Slayer 139 in terms of having the cleanup crew come later, or maybe that's what helps. He shows up and he has to fight them.
Oh, actually, that could.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like the cleanup crew, whatever this is, like there's like some like armed guys come, like they're like waiting outside the door. Maybe we're like getting closer to morning, and they're like, someone must have gotten in, unlucky soul. And then you see like someone like get like hit in the head with a rifle or something like that. Like he gets in, like they're waiting to go in once the whole thing's done.
Yeah.
But then he gets there and he like offs or knocks these guys out to go in. I don't know. I feel like
he chokes one guy out, and it's like we just hold on him for a long time. His big bulging muscles, and you're like, oh, who is this? Just
yeah.
He breaks the guy's neck.
Yeah, I think if we do that, if we hint at the bulging muscles, we should skip the Demon Slayer 139, like seeing him leave. Like, I don't want that anymore. Like, I want it to be like he's helping on the forums. He's like, guys, do this, and we need to talk about like how connected they are with outside world.
Overarching problem over that, I would think, is the live streaming thing.
Yeah,
if they're super rich and they realize, okay, this is a live stream thing, what does the cleanup crew entail? You know, they don't know that they have 10 followers. It is going out online. You know, what do we do there? Maybe that's just part of the cleanup crew where it's like, yeah, they've got phones. You know, or maybe they just put I don't like that. Maybe them going in is the last communication that they have with, what you call it. And maybe they can get outside of some sort of damper or cloak zone that the werewolves have installed. And that's part of the thing where it's like, once the moonlight hits, like, you know, they even see the werewolves like putting their cell phones in a box. You know, they do that kind of thing where it's like, all right, folks, you know, time to go off the grid. You know, and maybe outside we see the bodyguard guys and they're like, oh, here comes the damper. And then it just like, you know, kills his cell phone.
Yeah, I feel like something like that with this seems like a high tech, well thought out facility. And like, if they're going to be a bunch of werewolves, they don't need, like, there's like a landline phone that's like locked behind like a thing that they can use. And because I imagine them using that at the beginning and being like, they clearly see Mule. They're like, yeah, there's 5 kids here. And oh, look, I did a thumbs up somehow on my,
I think it just sees the thumbs up.
Isn't that?
Why isn't it doing mine? Whatever, Riverside. What? Why is it doing it for him?
There we go. I don't know. It's never worked on my stuff before.
Maybe I gotta go the other way.
It's gonna be the rest of the video is just Zach trying to do
a thumbs up. There was a bubble that popped up, an emoji that popped up just because he did a thumbs up.
So okay, he calls them and he says that hey, this is there's 5 of them. One kid seems like he's got a lot of cameras, so can you take care of that in the morning?
They appear to be live streaming. And
I think the line of like, can you take care of that in the morning if we don't take care of it ourselves? Like something like that is kind of dark and ominous.
Yeah.
But I think we just have to, the inside of the facility, I think there has to, well, dang. That gets rid of the fun of having the guy on the forums answering stuff for them.
But I think if they find an area where it's like, we know that's outside of the damper zone, somehow they figure that out. And so they need to get over there.
Okay. So like, yeah, they can't like be sharing video the whole time. It's not like they like show these people and it's like, oh, you're on camera on live stream, but like they can get a few messages out and like maybe like they can live stream from just the corner or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you'd have to thread that needle. I think audience, this is one of those areas where it's not going to be solved within this session, obviously, but it will be solved. And yeah, you just do it tenderly, do it believably. I do think if you have the bodyguards talking out front about like how annoying it is that the damper zone happens, and maybe they hear it. I don't know. It's a little coincidental in favor of Mule hearing that or something, where it's like he can overhear the bodyguards and they're like, yeah, you know, I'm going to go take a piss over there, over the ridge. That's the only place that I get. And it's like, okay, if I get into this pipe, I know I can get.
Okay, I think so something
Bianca,
like that.
Get in the pipe, you know.
I imagine Mule having like one of those things that kids had, like where it's like the headphones and he like points it and he can listen to things far away.
That's cool.
Like he just has a giant backpack. But him overhearing someone or a guard or something saying like, oh, yeah, I have to come clean up here every once in a while. And in the top corner, it works. Like I can get my messages out there or something like that.
That sets up those guys outside the facility that Demon Slayer 139 will have to deal with, and then helps us get that communication back in. I do think that the last communication that he sees, something really ominous. And we see that on his screen, like you said. We see that he's logged in as Demon Slayer. He's leaving like a ton of comments on the live stream, and it's just frozen on like that first image of them walking into the facility.
Yeah, I think it has to be Amanda too who says it, like, because that's like his whole Demon Slayer's whole motivation. Like, she's like, hey, if anyone, I've got like one bar here. If anyone can see this, we're trapped in this place. And I know we only have like 10 followers, but like we're trapped in here and there's werewolves or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's like barely half a minute of a message, and then like she gets chased away.
It's part of the middle task that they have to do. They have to take out the damper. So Mule is just able to find it and is like, it's in there. It's in the control room, like whatever it is, and he's like, it's beyond this other little section, and then we can destroy it. Once they destroy it, then they can open the live stream. It's on, and they're like, nobody's here. Nobody's on. Like,
oh, no one's on the live stream.
Yeah, please, somebody watch. Like, that's all we can do. I know that they would try and call people or whatever. And so maybe they try to do that. I don't know. I'm trying to think about why they wouldn't just call someone. Why they would just get on the live stream.
Yeah, I wonder if there would be like a computer they could access that they like has limited access, but somehow Mule wires it so that they can stream from it.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like these are a lot of detail. Like, these are like the fine-tuned details.
And that's like, funny. It's a comedy. You can get over a little bit of that, where it's like, this has like totally limited access. Like, all I can do, I can access the webcam and, a couple of websites. And it's like, oh, the guard, has been using Instagram or whatever. So he's logged in, or they're able to log him out and get in. Something like that. I think
or if
the goal is to get the damper done or to eliminate the damper so that they can get out. In the meantime, though, I think they lose Red. That they transform. Okay. And I think there's a black, a white, and a gray werewolf.
Okay, so 3 of them?
Yeah. One is like Helen Mirren in a cameo. She's older, but she's this big white werewolf. I think that's so cool.
I like it. And then there's like one that's kind of the leader a bit more.
Imagine one being a fat guy and he's a fat werewolf.
Just like he's super broad, like super big, and
he's got like a big belly. And maybe they're like European or something. So each of them is like a hyper rich. It's like, I'm an oil baron, and then they just and I'm also a werewolf. They fly out to this area. I have some titles in mind. It definitely is like where they are at, not necessarily their team. I think that's incidental. It could be their team. But let's stick the landing here with the ending. Again, the middle of the movie is them trying to survive. Obviously, I think we lose Red in some sort of like pretty initial skirmish to show us that they mean business. And then Bianca I kind of like that they're able to actually get out, or she's able to squeeze through some pipe or something and get out front, and she gets killed by the guards.
Oh man. I was thinking because she's the handle. Hannibal.
Oh, she's the animal handler. Okay.
That somehow she like does something and it like buys the others time, but then she gets killed by one of them.
She carries like dog treats with her or something.
Yeah, that's funny. And they're just like, oh.
Yeah. Maybe she has a little dog with her. I know that's a little, but one that would like fit in a backpack.
Yeah. Yeah, just like a little
that's something else to
terrier,
kill, to be honest. It's something for a little bit of laughs.
Oh no.
But maybe it's an alpha. Maybe it's an alpha, and
it commands the other wolves.
Yeah. And then it kills them. It makes them kill.
It's like the big bad is the little dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could explore that. So I think I wanted to ask this. Do you think it has to be kind of like a video game-esque where there's like, they have to kill the lowest wolf, they have to kill the like round fat wolf, and then they have to kill the like elder wolf? Like, is that the order of this movie?
No,
or are they just trying to get it? Do they kill any of the wolves?
I think they definitely kill one, and they maim another one. But he's alive. They survive, and then they go back to being human. And he's like, somebody chopped off my arm. You know, and then they're just alive. I think that's an interesting ending. That they have to face off with them again as a human. I think is an interesting, sandwich, basically. And yeah, I don't think that they need to kill them. I think they do have to kill one, though. I do think the fat one probably has to die.
Yeah, that could be the one dropping a cinder block on one of their head or something like that.
Whereas the Helen Mirren one is a good foil for Amanda. So there's this, like kind of what is it, alpha female type thing going on, and so she's trying to. They are competing, and Amanda is able to outsmart her in some way.
I think that's interesting. The werewolves are not sentient of like their human selves, right? They're just kind of bestial.
I don't think so. I think that they would just be bestial. Although I'm down for them to be smart.
I think they can be smart, but they're not like to the level of like, they're not the humans just like, now we're wolves and we're going to kill you. Like they don't remember that, but I think they're clever. I like the idea of maybe Bianca is the first one to go because she does like some sort of animal, like Chris Pratt talking to the raptors,
and then like totally wrecked. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, but it does actually like subdue one of them for a minute. Like she's like, does like some trick because it is an animal, but then like maybe she gets flanked by the other one.
Yeah. I do think that a good analog for them is the raptors from Jurassic Park. Again, very intelligent, but they're also just animals. They can open doors, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's as far as they're not like working on the computer.
Yeah. And if you want to, they're just like, oh, I have some email. And then after that, Red's really beat up about it. And if you want to show the stakes of the people outside, or like he finds some way to like sneak outside, I don't know how he would find that with it and not bring the others, but do you think that's important for him to get outside and like he's like pulls his phone out and he's trying to make a phone call and then he gets like shot by the guards?
I think that works. What I imagined and why I thought it worked a little bit better as being Bianca is that she's cracked up from losing Red. And so she's like just happy to be around people and her guard is down and doesn't realize like, okay, those guys are actually there to kill you too. Like, please, sirs, help me. Like, help me. And they're like, oh, yeah, of course we'll help you. Oh, yeah, just come on over here.
Okay.
They just.
Okay, let's do that. But she still does her animal handling thing.
Yeah.
But when she's getting when she's getting flanked, Red sacrifices himself for her.
Yeah. And then he pushes her out of the way. Yeah.
She somehow finds a way out with it that would require more thinking and plot points. She finds a way out. She's like, you have to help me. You have to help me. There's werewolves in there. They're like, well, don't you worry. Don't you worry. I do think it would be ominous. She's like, are you guys like cops or something? And they're like, no, we're the cleanup crew. And then they shoot her. That's like really because like she knows exactly what that means. Like she just like heard the guy make the phone call about that.
Like just at the last second realizes it.
And then they're like at the window and they're like, oh, and like the other three, and then Mule's filming it.
Or maybe it's Mule. Mule can see, but he was too big to fit through the pipe. Maybe they're split up. And he's just like, no, like I wanted you to like go get in the car. And maybe she gets caught and
anyway, I think those both made like it really shows the stakes. Like Red's death shows the stakes of the wolves. Her stakes, like even if they get out there, they have another problem.
Yes.
With like, and maybe that's the thing is like she gets out and then they're like, oh, she went out that way. We can like follow her in a minute. And then they see that there's all these guys out there and they're like, okay, well, we can't just go out there. Like they're literally just gonna, so then they have to explore another route. And then, so Darren has his broken arm. He has his gun though. And I think he uses his gun a little bit early on, but it doesn't do much to these giant wolves.
Yeah, no. The big fat one just eats it basically. He just takes it in the belly and it doesn't do anything to him, literally like just like Wolverine style heals up and just little bullets hit the ground.
And then Amanda at some point drops a giant brick or something, some sort of machinery on, crushes the big one's head.
Yeah.
She kills the big one, or she kills the fat one. At some point, there's like some sort of skirmish where there's like a tussle and she outsmarts the white wolf and like maims the arm or cuts off the arm or something like that.
Yeah, I think of the gray wolf because the gray wolf is like I am, for whatever reason, I'm imagining like a middle-aged guy, salt and pepper guy. The big fat guy is obviously, that's his attribute. He turns into a big fat wolf. He's greedy, rich, big fat, whatever. And then the kind of elder wolf, the alpha female, and she's totally white because she's a gray-haired lady.
Okay, so she's the main wolf. She's like the elder wolf.
She's been one of the longest, I think, for sure. Either way.
Okay, cool. I was just picturing the gray wolf being the elder wolf, but I think that makes sense because it's it's the battle with Amanda. Like, they're like the feminine forces.
Yes.
So then, they like injure the gray wolf. I think Darren dies somehow.
I thought maybe he got bit, and at the end, that's kind of the devastating ending. Is that he's alive, but he's bit. I do think, leaning on the backstory I had at the very beginning about them being in foster care together, that he always took the beatings for her in some way, like that type of thing could be kind of a good heartstrings thing to pull on. I don't know. That's as far as I got.
I kind of, man, I really like these main three. And I'm fine. I want Darren to go because I feel like that's kind of tragic if she has to end him with his gun at the end because he's like, I can feel something going on. I don't know if we want to, and we got to tie Demon Slayer into this, which if there's a way in and out that leads straight to the guards, it's not hard for him to get in. He subdues all these guys. Like maybe it's just like 4 guys and he subdues them. He gets in, and maybe he's the one who puts like a beating on the gray wolf. Like he does that. The gray wolf bites Darren in the process, or maybe the white wolf. The white wolf bites Darren in the process, and then he's like, "You guys got to get out of here." And he's like, "I've got this guy." The real crazy dramatic ending is he calls on he's like. Has his coordinates punched in, and like there's just a missile airstrike like blows up.
He's a straight up military grade thing. I think he could have an explosive. I think that's fine.
Do we think he finishes off the wolves? Because I was thinking at some point like they make it through the night and then like the wolves turn back, but I don't really know.
I think them turning back is fine, and them getting stuck in there, so they just die, or it's left to think that they are dead, kind of thing, where the woman is pinned or they're just stuck in a tiny chamber, and it's like that's a fate worse than death, is that they weren't directly killed, but and not that they're immortal or anything, but she just can't get out anymore, and because nobody knows that they're there, the werewolves, like other than their staff or whatever. But if their staff dies, although I guess you'd have to think that some accountant somewhere probably knew.
I think we either do big, like the wolves die somehow, the establishment like just is done and they die, or I think it's interesting if they turn human and they're like, wow, you made it through the night, and the one guy's like all bloodied, he's like, what the heck happened to me? And then they still have the gun and they're like, we're leaving right now, and then like it's kind of this ominous like maybe we'll meet again kind of thing, like they just let them go, and then but they're like rich and powerful at the same time.
I like that. It's a little bit of a stalemate kind of thing, where Amanda and the woman at that point have a conversation, and they're just like, I know an alpha female when I see one.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. And then they see that there's bite marks on Darren, and they're like,
"You have your hands full."
Yeah, they're like, "Good luck with that." Without a facility like this or something, like, because maybe he doesn't, that could be cool if he turns into a werewolf for just the little bit of the morning that's left and he helps defend them.
That's fair.
And then
I guess it depends how fast it works. Like, is it just the bite? You just get bit and then you almost immediately transform if if it's a full moon, or is it just kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's weird if like he doesn't transform at all, you know? Like it's like he
I
gets
feel like it would
bit.
take a cycle. That's usually what it is. It's like you get bit. The guy doesn't
Yeah.
transform that night. He just
Yeah.
gets rescued, and then he wakes up, and in the next full moon, in the next 30 days, I have 30 days to see if I can figure it out.
Yeah, I
And he
think
never
that's like
does.
he gets bit because the one of the wolf or the woman wolf is gonna just like devour him, but then like
Mm.
it's like shot in the face or something, and then like lets him go, and then he's like seizing up because he's got the wolf bite going on. Um, and then yeah, and then morning, and then they kill Demon Slayer. She's like my perfect guy.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and then morning happens. Like it's like about to be like, oh shoot, we're done for. And then morning happens, and they turn human, and then they have Darren's gun, and they're like, we're leaving now. And then yeah, it's a stalemate. They're
Although,
like,
why wouldn't
look,
they just kill them and wrap up the loose ends? Because they would definitely, they're hyper rich people. Wouldn't they just be like, hey, these people are werewolves? Or maybe that's the whole thing. Is like, nobody's going to believe you.
are you saying why wouldn't the Amanda and them finish them off?
No. Other way around. Why wouldn't the white wolf, why wouldn't she just kill them?
Because she's human at that point.
Well, she has a gun, right? Didn't you say she had the gun?
No. They have Darren. The
Oh,
Amanda has
gotcha.
Darren's gun.
I feel like she would kill him. I feel like she would kill them. Like,
You think Amanda would?
mm-hmm.
Even though
Yeah, if
they're
she
like
just killed
they're
three of her friends, one of their followers.
yeah, I just don't know if they're like college age influencers that explore stuff. If that would like
Well, after everything that what happened, I mean, they watched
yeah.
them get murdered and get cornered and just brutally, whatever.
Yeah, but it
Um,
is in cold blood a little bit at that point because they are human again and not beasts anymore. But
well,
I don't know. I could see it
I
both
think that
ways.
she could say that the white wolf could say something to the effect of like, "You wouldn't kill a woman, would you?" And then she just shoots her, and she's like, "You're not."
Hmm. Yeah. Well, audience, you let us know. Does Amanda choose your own adventure? Does Amanda kill them or not?
Yeah,
I do think it does create some loose ends. It feels like something that could be revisited in a sequel if you wanted to. If you leave
yeah.
them alive and you leave Darren, like, oh, he's going to be a future werewolf
Well,
too.
this is the only way you wrap it up is that she says, "It looks like he's got, you're going to have your hands full the next full moon. You let me live, and you let me take him with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll make sure that he lives too."
Mm. Okay. That
This
could be
was just
interesting.
one big misunderstanding, but I can save his life.
Yeah, I
I think
think
that's
that's
an
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, okay. It's like yeah, no, because it kind of gives them a little bit of a quality that's like
Yeah.
slightly endearing, not like necessarily super endearing. Like they're kind of bad, rich
She's doing something good for
people.
a bad reason. And so
Hmm.
that's the thing. I also think that plays into the foster child background
Hmm.
where maybe it was always Amanda that was sticking up for Darren. She's the older sibling. And so she would take all these hits, which is not a super feminine thing to do. So I'm not like super married to that. It doesn't seem like it feels like it would be the other way around. You hear about those types of situations, like the 3-year-old little brother sticking up for the family, fighting off an intruder or something. It doesn't feel like something that a little girl would do.
Hmm.
But I'm playing with that idea that like one of them sticks up for the other, and that's the ending is that they're now separated. That
Hmm.
they have to like their identity is now strong outside of
Hmm.
the other. Darren is like, I am a werewolf now,
Hmm.
and I have to fight my own battles.
Hmm.
Basically, he's part of this family now, which is sad.
It
And
is
then
sad.
Amanda is now on her own, so they're going their separate ways. I think that's an interesting thing that like maybe we kind of play with that in the beginning about them being a little bit tired of each other. They have nowhere else to go, no real other family because they were in foster care. Now they're just each other's roommates. And so maybe Amanda's like, I'm not really into the underground exploring thing. I just don't want you to get hurt.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's interesting. I think we could also toggle and we could keep the werewolves as they are, which is kind of their like you're like, I don't like them, but they are kind of like the only option for Darren moving forward. We also could lighten them so that they're not so bad. Like they're just like, hey, like, but that takes away kind of like the security cleanup crew. which is, I think, an interesting dynamic to have to leave.
Agreed.
But like having that tie that like maybe they're just purely pragmatic.
Or just within their group. They're within their group, they don't agree. So one of the guys calls a cleanup crew. Mm-hmm. But maybe the white wolf didn't. She was like talking to Amanda and was like, oh, you look like someone I could, you look like a businesswoman. Yeah. You could be a protege, and maybe they share like an exquisite snack beforehand or whatever.
Or maybe it's like, the fat one called the cleanup crew and then he got killed.
That's my point. Yeah. Like exactly. That way there are these shades in there where it's like that. Yes, we're pack animals. Yeah. But clearly he was acting on his own. He was a lone wolf.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that helps a lot, because that makes I want them to be like, you don't necessarily have to like them, but they're like crazy hyper pragmatic. Yeah. Like they're like, we would have rather you not been in here. Like, yeah, but you were, and we couldn't open the doors, and we're sorry that guy, we didn't know that guy was going to call someone to take care of something. Like
maybe they even fight beforehand. Like I imagine there's like it's a similar dynamic. There's a mirror dynamic between Darren and Amanda and the gray wolf and the white wolf, where the white wolf is kind of the dominant matriarch. And the gray wolf is maybe like maybe a husband type character to her or whatever. But he's just kind of a bumbling guy. And that's a family. I think that's really interesting that he gets adopted at the end, essentially. Like Darren gets adopted. And obviously Amanda's not happy about that. I'm fine leaving it kind of on that note where like they drive away and she's just standing there and Mule's like, well, what about my arc? But yeah, that's kind of I think the strongest emotional arc to land things on. I think we go from there, man. Like that's a cool werewolf world. And the idea is that like, that's their new mom and dad. And now they're having that kind of mom and dad, like the sequel, if there was one, hint, hint, other episodes to come, that we continue this idea of like, oh, a family, kind of a makeshift family, and can they make it work?
I think it's definitely something that I would want to revisit in a future episode, because I love these characters. Like Mule and Amanda and Darren, and now even like this white wolf and gray wolf, I think they're all very interesting. So if there was like another adventure where Amanda and Mule have to track these people down and like be like, there's something going on, maybe you throw a vampire or something in there.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there's just bad wolves at that point. I think you just enter in like wolves who do not care about human life. Why do you think we spent millions of dollars constructing a facility? And they even say that we can't open this door. There is a town 3 miles away from here that we would destroy. We would easily destroy. And so we built this whole facility. I'm sorry, but the best thing you can do is hide. And you have 12 hours or whatever until we de-transform. And then we can talk about whatever. But there's this like mutual agreement between the white wolf and Amanda. Like a mutual respect as humans, that I like contending with that. There's this weird emotional thematic sub thing going on there about how like the parents and the children are both fighting the abusive behaviors of the parent.
How are the
so like imagine a different like totally dramatic Manchester by the Sea story about a son and a daughter get adopted or foster cared by this couple, but the couple happens to be alcoholics. It's like it's the same kind of dynamic where they're like, honey, when I'm not drunk, like I am the fun parent that you want me to be, that you need me to be, but it's the monster inside of me that we both have to fight.
That's really interesting, actually. Yeah, that's a interesting parallelism right there.
Yeah,
I like the story, man. I think we put a lot of meat on these bones, and I really think we knocked the characters out of the park.
Oh yeah, absolutely. With so many setups and payoffs, and even the funny thing at the end with the Demon Slayer 139, like setting that up. I think that still works. We didn't break that to the point where it didn't work anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's like suspense, plenty of suspense with humor throughout as well. Like it's not a pure comedy. It's just like a suspense thing with humorous points.
I feel like the blend is really balanced. So yeah, I think we landed the plane perfectly for what an episode of StoryFellas can promise you. Clark in the woods wandering around.
Did you find safety yet, Clark?
Yeah, hopefully you did. Hopefully you didn't wander into some sort of facility that closes behind you. But if you did, you know what's about to happen. So yeah, let's talk about titles and along the line segment.
Yeah, you said you had a title in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I've got some variations of a title.
All right.
So they are Howler's Hollow. It's a little hard to say.
Howler's Hollow. It is hard to say.
Just this idea, like, oh, somebody in their followers or whatever is like, oh, you should go here. It seems like you guys aren't that far from there. Or Howler's Hill, or Howling Hill. I think Howling Hill is cool. A little bit easier to say. But obviously the howling thing.
Yeah, maybe there's like rumors. There's like people hear wolves up there. And it's
exactly.
There's not supposed to be wolves up there.
So that was as close as I got. Was just something fun, cool, sounds like a mine shafty type abandoned area, and it's just all about that facility that's underneath Howling Hill.
Howling Hill, I do like that. I think that's a strong contender. The only other thing that I was thinking of is something with beast, like the beasts, or like the word beast is interesting. I haven't landed on like exactly what it would be, but I'm also good with Howling Hill. I think that's like a good, like place, location. That makes sense to me. You got to go to Howling Hill.
I think it's a totally serviceable, horror thing. I'm playing with the kind of indie, that vibe that we're kind of hitting there at the end about it's like you and me versus the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That idea. It's like in a lot of like counseling type literature or whatever and movies and stuff that people talk like that. It's you and me versus the problem. It's not me versus you. Mm-hmm. That playing with that where it's like us versus the problem. That doesn't sound that good, obviously, but us versus the beast, not that good. Monster, it seems too obvious. I don't know. I'm trying to give it a little bit of whatever. A little bit of the Zach Lovelace stink.
I like it. I like, I think we can leave it with Howling Hill for now. If
I agree
with that.
I agree. Head on up to Howling Hill.
Head on up to Howling Hill. I like it. I like a good old werewolf story.
Feels very unique, especially from where we started about Don't Breathe and that vampire movie. It's like its own thing entirely. And it sets up a whole sequel, which I don't think we've done, like a super strong, like, hey.
Yeah, this could have another story attached to it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as far, do you have any lines you wanted to get out, or I might have a tentative one that could be, I did a thumbs down in my my video.
The emoji went thumbs down. No, he doesn't have a line. The only line that I had in my mind was about in the beginning, driving up engagement, but that was just a funny back and forth. I think what I would land on is probably what I was spinning there near the end about recalling some of the foster situations that they'd been in. Mm-hmm. And the White Wolf saying something to the effect of Amanda, where it's like, it's you and me versus the monster.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I feel like the thing that I come to mind, and might not be exactly on the theme, but it's kind of like piggybacking on that. Like maybe she says that it's going to be you and me versus the monster. And I imagine this is right before they start transforming at the beginning of the night. They're like, and this is the White Wolf talking. And she says, Amanda, I know we've only talked for a few minutes, but there's something about you that stands out to me. You've got 12 hours, and I'd love to see if you've got something in you that I think you've got something in you. Let's see if you can make it. And then they start transforming.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that she's like, I see that you have something in you, and I hope it survives the something in me.
That's that exact Lovelace stink right on it. You said here, rewind the tape. Zoop, zoop, zoop. All right, Zach, do it nice and clean. Do what I said, but do it nice and clean like you did it.
All right, so the Helen Mirren is walking up to our, Anya Taylor-Joy, whoever it is, and she tells Amanda, I recognize that you're something special, and I hope in the next 12 hours that something special in you survives the something special in me.
Thank you all for listening to StoryFellas, a part of the Pemmican Studios podcast network. Check out our show notes for bonus material, links, and more. To find out more about our current projects, send us messages, and suggest ideas for the show, go to storyfellaspodcast.com. If you liked what you heard, share the show with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to grow this community. Until next time, go make and break those stories.